All right, so we're gonna go by our top tens here. I think it's fair to say we just skip number one because Connor Bedard's gonna be a Blackhawk, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So these are teams 2 through 10. Obviously, second we have the Anaheim Ducks, then the Blue Jackets, the Sharks, the Canadiens, the Coyotes, the Flyers, the Capitals at 8. St. Louis is 10, and I skipped over Detroit at 9, and that is it. They do not use that pick to go get Alex DeBrincat, which we will see.
hmm
So number two, the Anaheim Ducks. Who do you have them taking?
I mentioned it already. I fell in love with his game during the NCAA tournament. Adam Fantilli. I think Anaheim still has that identity. I still think they love those two-way guys, those power forwards that can score. So Fantilli will be a guy that really kind of adds that skill they already have there. Mason McTavish is kind of a similar player already to that, but to have the two of them, reminiscent of a Getzlaff Perry type of two players that they will drag you through the mud, but they'll also be your top scorers.
Mm-hmm. He's the elite prospects have his comparables as Evgeny Malkin and Tage Thompson. I'd like to think that this is the type of player everyone hopes that Yura Slafkovsky is going to turn into. To be honest with you, except he's a center. Yeah, no, I have Fantilli there as well. I think he's an easy choice at two. If the Ducks don't take him, I have no idea what they're going to do. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is a great consolation prize for a season where they were last, and I think we're easily the worst team in
They
the
they
league.
were
Those
historically the worst defensive team ever.
and like the last 13 games, especially, were just
Yeah.
very difficult to watch for everyone involved. Third overall, the Columbus Blue Jackets, who continue to look for a center, which is why I have Leo Carlson going there, and I've been big on Leo Carlson. I prayed that the Habs somehow get their hands on him, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I have the same pick as well. I think best player available right now for Columbus. Can't really get picky with what they need because they need everything.
They do, they do. So, they've shored up their D, or they in their eyes they have with the moves they made this offseason. Goaltending, who knows what they I don't know, man. But listen, if you have a strong center core, which they do not right now, but maybe if some of their guys start taking that next step and they can add Carlson in, if he I don't know if he's confirmed whether he's gonna go back to Europe next year.
hmm
But I mean, fingers crossed. Now, this is where the draft is going to start getting very interesting. Fourth overall belongs to the San Jose Sharks. I think if you look at most, there's some elite prospects have Will Smith at like sixth or seventh overall. But it seems to be pretty well, whether it's Bob McKenzie or whatever, that he's probably going to go in the top five. We know the Habs love him, but it really feels like the Sharks are going to take him from me.
hmm It's funny. Up until I think Jason Bukala had his article about it, and he was just going more into how for not the top talent this year with Fantilli, with Bedard, he would have been a first overall pick. I think he goes fourth to San Jose. I was gonna say Ryan Leonard initially, but for Will Smith, I think he's a guy that could play immediately for San Jose, and I think that's a kind of a team too where they're not there yet on the Flyers territory. I still think that they're in the middle ground between the Flyers and the Canucks, where they still kind of have to be competitive until they figure out what they're going to do with Eric Carlson.
Eric Carlson, future Florida Panther. Okay, number five, I have Matvey Michkov.
Mm-hmm.
However, I do not have the Canadians taking him because they will
Oh,
move down to take Ryan Leonard at six. Spoiler alert. But I think the Flyers will get the move done and they'll take Matvey Michkov. I don't want it to happen, but that's what I'm going to feel like it. I'm trying to reverse jinx here, but yeah.
okay.
And I like the balls of Danny Briere trying to get him. I like it.
You know, it's funny because I put him at fifth with Montreal because you convinced me so much that it just would work with their timeline. So I'm keeping Mishkov at fifth for Montreal.
I appreciate that a lot. Who do you have at
Okay.
six? I said Ryan Leonard, but who do you have at six?
For six, I also have Ryan Leonard.
So I've seen mixed things about really if he is like a new Kachuk. You know what I mean? Like it's been sort
Mm-hmm.
of mixed on that stuff, but like he's gonna be a hell of a player anyway. I know some people were going on because people had his comparables as like Archiri Lekkonen, but I feel like people are being a bit sort of I think they need to calm down with player comparables. I feel like people oftentimes sort of get it mixed up. Because I don't know how you have elite prospects who can say, you know what, this guy's a Kachuk type, and everyone else be like, Arturi Lehkonen. Those are two very different players. But
Mhm.
like if you've seen anything with him, it's that like here's what makes me think is like a lot's been made about his physicality and his hockey sense, which we're like I think we've had Alex Baumgartner, covers the floor of the Panthers, and he's
Yeah.
talked a lot about a guy like Kachuk's hockey sense. And if the Canadiens have talked about anything to death this season, it's been hockey sense and developing that hockey sense for their players. So, you know,
Mhm.
my God.
I like that. I really like that.
It's so crazy to see players born in 2005 are eligible for the draft. I feel old and like I'm useless.
That's what who said that? Pierre LeBrun. It's funny. He says that every year though.
What
Not the
does he
useless
say?
part. No, he always says like, "Oh my goodness, like my age, like these players are born in this year or this year and this year," and like he actually says that every single year for the draft, or if he's previewing it.
Pierre LeBrun, the athletic, our guy.
Yeah.
Okay, we go to 7. Yeah.
The Flyers.
Yeah, if you want to go Flyer.
Well,
I
I mean,
just
okay,
realized
yeah.
I am an idiot.
What?
Oh my God, I'm an idiot. The Flyers aren't.
They're
Oh
picking
my
seven.
God,
Yeah,
I'm
that's what I
a
was kind of confused.
fool.
Like, this is a three-way trade.
Oh my
You're
God, I'm an
proposing?
idiot. I am
No,
such
no, no.
an idiot. Arizona are 6. What am I
Yeah,
doing? Oh my God. Okay, ignore everything I said. They're taking Leonard at 5 and
yeah.
disappointing
Best
everyone.
player
Ignore me.
available. Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm stupid. You know what? Who cares about Arizona? No,
Okay.
no. Oh my God. Even though they should take Michkov because once they get him, they're finally have a place to play. I'm actually so embarrassed I screwed that up.
It's okay.
Oh my God. What do we even do? Who do you? I mean, we'll just go with it. Thinky, and we'll just 7. Whatever. We have our rankings. Leonard say, yeah, okay, 7. I
Okay.
have
First.
I have Benson at 7.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I think I think Benson could honestly be a surprise top 5 guy. Elite
Hmm.
prospects especially are high on him, but it seems to be like skill and playmaking wise, he's maybe the cream of the crop when it comes to this draft. It's just people are scared because he's small because the
Hmm.
NHL is and people are still like that. I am not kidding, Daniel. The amount of people I have seen say we don't want Ryan Leonard because he's little. I'm
Hmm.
begging you to stop. The comparables, by the way, have been to Braden Point, which I mean,
Yeah, I was gonna mention Braden Point. He dropped in the draft because of his size.
yeah.
Yeah. For
Like
me, for
so.
seventh, I actually had David Reinbecker there.
Oh, okay.
Right hand shot, big guy. Again, we've mentioned the Flyers defense many
Yes.
times already. I think that you continue to add there. They already had Gauthier last season, so I think like that was a solid pick already. Um, I really like what Reinbacker has been bringing and just a more responsible defenseman. I think when I think about the Flyers, it's just you need that responsibility there. I know that they had a bit of that with Ryan Ellis before his injury, but it's time to not have a offensive defenseman like filling your entire top six. Your your six pairings.
I think when it does come to all around defenseman, I think most people can agree that probably Ryan Backer is that player. I just don't
Mm-hmm.
think the Habs should take him. But cool name too, Ryan Backer.
Yeah,
That's
it's a
a
cool
like
name.
that is a hockey name. That's one
That
of
is
the best
hockey.
names in the draft. Ryan Backer.
I
I
like it.
like it. Um, so I kind of cheated when I go to 8 and 9 because I actually have Ryan Backer and Simishev. I know I'm not going to say that right. Sort of like interchangeable if you want to
Yeah.
do it. Again, I think they're both. I think people also sort of argue that Simishev is probably the best D. Especially defensively, the comparables are Jacob Slavin and Keandre Miller. And especially like they highlight also Simishev's skating. So listen, I think you take whichever one you want. If you want a guy who potentially could turn into more of the all rounder when it comes to Rhinebacker, or the guy who, again, I wouldn't mind having a Jacob Slavin on my team with maybe more
Mm.
upside altogether. You know, I like the player, but yeah, I have them either 8 or 9 to be honest with you.
Okay. For me, I had Samuel Honzek for the Capitals. I think that they also need a center. I mean, this is the draft. If you need a center, this is the draft.
Oh yeah, the
By the
top
way,
10's full of them.
yeah, and he's a big body guy. He's someone that they've mentioned that in terms of maturity, in terms of the size he already has, maybe he makes the jump a bit quicker than you think. And for the Capitals, in the Alex Ovechkin era, that's what you get. That's what you need to do. You get guys that could come in and maybe play right away, not in the top six, but they contribute.
It's also weird that neither of us have so far mentioned Oliver Moore. And spoiler, I do not have him at 10, by the way, another center. And the speed has been mentioned a lot there.
Mm-hmm.
At number 10, I have Dalibor Dvorsky. Because man, this is a name that has been haunting Habs fans all year, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe unfairly, by the way. But like it's kind of like the ceiling people compare to is that of Elias Lindholm or like a Bo Horvat, right? That's a good player, but when there are calibers of like your Will Smiths and that, and your Mitchkovs that should be top liners, maybe you're hesitant for a top line center, but not the. We had the discussion about like the Dubois and the Larkins and the I can't remember his name. Guy in the Islanders. I am an idiot. I can't remember. And the extremely attractive
Wait,
man.
wait, which one?
Matt Barzell. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. Like those
So
guys. Like Dvorsky is gonna be a good player. It's just sort
yeah.
of I think everyone just kind of looks at them and they're like, no, don't like him. But I think he'll be top 10. If he falls a bit more than I think, there's nothing wrong with that. But
Mm-hmm. For me, for the ninth pick for Detroit, I actually had Axel Sandin. I'm gonna say it wrong. Pelika.
man, I'm not going to question you on that because we'll be told how to say it. Remember, Nemec was like Nemec for
Yeah.
like the longest time, and then day of it's like, it's Nemec. I'm like, you had a year to tell us this, so I'm going to believe you, man. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Yeah. I think Detroit should add another defenseman right now. Again, another coveted right hand shot. He's projected to be a top four guy. And I don't know, there's something about it. I think it just history has shown us that. But I think just the way Detroit has been, they're such an international team when it comes to their array of draft picks that they go back to basics and get another, high quality Swede prospect.
You know what's really funny about Sandine Pelika? That's
Mm,
how I'm going to say it. Some of his shades of Samuel Girard and again Sandine Pelika shades of Rasmus Sandine. I don't, that's not funny, but I thought it was funny. I like laughing at my own jokes.
I like it too. Don't worry.
So some of the notable names who we did not mention who could go around that top part of the draft again, Oliver Moore we did not mention, Quentin Musty. Did you Callum? Jesus, Colby Barlow. I first feel like is a name that was very highly thought of earlier in the year and has fallen very quickly. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
just me, but that's a name I recognize and I'm seeing at 17. I'm like, wait, wait, wait.
Yeah, because he's like the number one winger right now. And from all of things I'm seeing, I think I've seen like he's going as high as seventh and then as low as 19.
That's not gonna happen. I don't think
So
he
we'll
goes early
see.
as 7. If somebody takes him over like one of the D or like Dvorsky, I'd be very confused about that.
He's the next winger that you could think of. Like you've mentioned Zach Benson. There's also Gabriel Perreault. That's apparently someone that apparently the Penguins really like. So we'll see.
Man, you know what I look at and I'm like, oh boy, goalies. I love Michael. I can't say his name. Michael Rabel. That's not how I said it. I'm sorry. It's definitely
Let
not
me
how I can
search
put
that.
it properly. But he's ranked 54th. He is who it looks like right now is going to be the first goalie taken. If Montreal hold on to pick 31 and he's there, I can bet they're gonna take it.
Mm-hmm.
But for one of his game, like it's really really funny here. Obviously, like elite prospects have things like hard hitter and all that. For this goaltender, they simply have draft Twitter fave. So I guess the elite prospect Twitter pool really really like this goaltender. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
think I'd ever see that on the scouting report, but and also shout out Oliver Bonk because I was also one of the
Yes,
best
Radek
players.
Bonk, son. You remember Radek Bonk? So I wasn't born when he was drafted, but I
That's
just
good.
remember he just became like an okay player,
Yeah.
and I just remember Bob McKenzie. I know he doesn't always get it right, but at the draft, he was like, "No, if you're gonna go for franchise guy, generational type of guy, you go for Radek Bonk."
Yo, to be fair, he nailed the first round last year.
Yeah, he did.
That's kind of scary. Where you told me to stop going on Twitter because I was spoiling the draft, and we were there,
Yeah,
and Bob knew before we did.
he's behind the screen. He's behind the stage,
Yo, he's crazy,
just
man.
tweeting
He's
out.
got
Yeah.
all the insights. The
Um,
Bobfather retires and just drops the bomb, man. Got those bomb off, and he's on Bowser's airship.
it's
One
funny
day
when you
you pull
mention like
those.
I didn't even know. I can't even say his name. Michael Harabel.
I
Hara.
know
Oh,
it's tough.
there's also the other guy, Carlson Bjarnason on the Brandon Wheat Kings. He's also
Mm-hmm.
one of the top guys there too. He's only 17. Um, yeah, we'll see. He's a bigger guy too, so we'll see how that kind of goes. But
Yeah, man.
yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. It's always exciting when a goalie goes in the first round. I always love it. But according to Bob, he said that there's no possibility. Maybe there's really no possibility for that this year.
Yeah, no, it's difficult to see. Again, unless you always get the I think one of the best things about the draft and this year is there are a few different teams that have multiple first round picks, and those are the ones who always get a little nuts.
Yeah.
I think St. Louis have multiple for now. Philly are going to try and add another one. Montreal have their second pick, which that's what makes me think they're going to take the goaltender. Um, but there were a few teams like that, and that could make the draft a little more spicy.
Mm-hmm.
The first round is Wednesday, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank God, because I'm off Thursday, hopefully, unless something goes wrong because LCBO is weird. And that means I can stay up and actually watch the first round and enjoy the second round after.